imagine uncovering a ritual so dark that it's kept an entire school under its spell for centuries? Tonight, Emma and Adam face the heart of Westbrook High's malevolent power, but breaking the ritual may cost them more than they're willing to give. Welcome back to Nightmare for Giggles, where the shadows of Westbrook High hold secrets that could tear your soul apart. I am the Tales Keeper, your guide through the chilling chapters of Horror Highschool Nightmare Stories. Tonight, Emma and Adam dig deeper into the school's twisted history, uncovering a ritual of shadows that has bound the school and its victims for generations. But as they confront the dark heart of Westbrook High, they'll discover that some rituals are more powerful than they could ever imagine. So, put on your headphones, close your eyes, and prepare to face the darkness within the walls, because tonight's lesson might be the last one they ever learn. The halls of Westbrook High were darker than usual, the shadows seeming to stretch longer, reaching out like grasping hands as Emma and Adam walked through them. The events of the last few days had left them both shaken, but there was no time to dwell on their fear. They had to keep moving, keep searching for answers. The school's dark secrets were unraveling faster than they could keep up with, and they knew that time was running out. Ms. Grayson's lesson had given Emma a glimpse into the school's twisted nature, but it had also raised more questions than answers. The symbols she had learned, the power they held, were dangerous, but they were also the key to unlocking the school's mysteries. And yet, the deeper she delved into the school's history, the more she realized that they were not just dealing with a haunted building. They were facing something much older and far more malevolent. As they made their way to the school library, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them, something unseen but ever present. She glanced at Adam, who was walking beside her, his face set in a grim expression. He hadn't been the same since they had freed him from the locker's grasp. He was quieter, more distant, as if part of him was still trapped in that other dimension. "Are you sure about this?" Emma asked, breaking the silence. Adam didn't look at her. "We don't have a choice. The school's getting stronger. We have to find a way to stop it before it consumes us all." Emma nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. She had come this far, but the weight of everything they had uncovered was beginning to take its toll. The school's power was vast, and with each step they took, the danger grew more real. They reached the library, its doors looming like a gateway to another world. The air was thick with dust and the scent of old paper, but beneath it was something else, something dark and ancient, a presence that had been waiting for them. As they entered, the lights flickered overhead, casting the room in a dim, yellowish glow. The bookshelves stretched endlessly into the darkness, and the silence was oppressive, as if the library itself were holding its breath. Adam led the way to the far corner of the library, where the oldest books were kept. The shelves here were filled with thick, leather-bound tomes, their spines cracked and faded with age. It was here, in the deepest recesses of the library, that they hoped to find answers. Emma's eyes were drawn to a particular book, one that seemed to stand out among the others. Its cover was black, with strange symbols etched into the leather. She reached out and pulled it from the shelf, feeling the weight of it in her hands. "The Ritual of Shadows," she read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. Adam's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" Emma opened the book, flipping through the pages. The text was written in a language she didn't recognize, but the symbols were eerily familiar, similar to the ones Ms. Grayson had taught her. "It's a ritual," she said, her voice trembling. "A ritual to summon something. I can't read the text, but the symbols, they're the same as the ones in Ms. Grayson's lesson." Adam's expression darkened. "The school is alive, Emma. We know that much. But what if it's more than just alive? What if it's feeding?" Emma's blood ran cold. "Feeding on what?" "On us," Adam replied, his voice flat. "On our fear, our despair. It's been doing this for years, maybe even decades. Every student who disappears, every soul trapped in this place. It's all been part of the ritual." Emma closed the book, her hands shaking. "Then what do we do? How do we stop it?" Adam took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the shelves. "We have to find the source of the ritual. Whatever it is, it's tied to the school, maybe even buried within it. If we can destroy it, we might be able to break the cycle. Emma nodded, though the thought of what they were about to face filled her with dread. The school was powerful, and the closer they got to its heart, the more dangerous it became. As they searched the shelves, Emma's mind raced. The ritual, the symbols, the school's dark history, it was all connected. But there was something she was missing, something crucial that tied it all together. Her thoughts were interrupted by a low rumble, the ground beneath them trembling as if in response to their presence. The lights flickered again, and a cold wind swept through the library, rustling the pages of the open books. "Emma," Adam said, his voice tense. "We're not alone." Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she turned to face the direction of the wind. The shadows at the far end of the library were shifting, moving as if alive. And then, out of the darkness, a figure emerged. It was tall and thin, dressed in tattered black robes, its face obscured by a hood. But there was something familiar about it, something that made Emma's blood run cold. "Ms. Grayson?" Emma whispered, though she knew it wasn't her. The figure stepped closer, its movements slow and deliberate. As it approached, the temperature in the room dropped, the air thick with a suffocating presence. "No," Adam said, his voice filled with fear. "It's not her. It's something else." The figure stopped a few feet away from them, its head tilting as if studying them. When it spoke, its voice was low and hollow, like the echo of a distant memory. "You should not have come here," the figure said, its voice sending shivers down Emma's spine. "The ritual is not meant for the living." Emma swallowed hard, her mind racing. "Who are you?" The figure's hood shifted, revealing a face that was both human and inhuman, its features twisted and distorted by the darkness that clung to it. "I am the keeper of shadows," it said, its voice a whisper that seemed to fill the room. "I guard the ritual, and I protect the school. You cannot stop what has already begun." Emma felt a wave of despair wash over her, the weight of the figure's words pressing down on her like a physical force. But she couldn't give in, not now, not when they were so close. "We're not here to stop it," Adam said, his voice steady. "We're here to end it." The keeper's twisted face split into a smile, a grotesque expression that sent a chill down Emma's spine. "End it? You cannot end what has no beginning or end. The school is eternal, as is the ritual. You are but pawns in a game that has been played for centuries." Emma's heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to back down. "If the school is feeding on us, then there has to be a way to cut off its supply. There has to be a way to break the cycle." The keeper's smile faded, replaced by an expression of cold indifference. "There is no escape. The ritual will continue, and you will become part of it, just as those before you have." Emma felt a surge of anger. "No, we won't let that happen." She stepped forward, her hand clutching the book tightly. The symbols in her mind pulsed with energy, and she knew that she had to act now, before it was too late. But before she could move, the keeper raised a hand, and the shadows in the room surged forward, wrapping around her and Adam like chains. The coldness of the darkness seeped into her skin, numbing her limbs and filling her mind with despair. "You cannot fight the shadows," the keeper said, its voice a low rumble. "They are the school's will, and they will consume you." Emma struggled against the darkness, but it was like fighting against a tide of despair. The shadows were alive, writhing and twisting around her, their cold tendrils pressing into her mind, trying to snuff out her hope. But even as the darkness closed in, Emma refused to give up. She focused on the symbols, the language that Ms. Grayson had taught her, and felt a spark of energy ignite within her. With all her strength, she channeled that energy into the book, the symbols glowing brighter as they responded to her will. The shadows around her recoiled, hissing in pain as the light from the symbols cut through them. The keeper snarled, its face contorting in rage. "You dare defy the school's will?" Emma didn't answer. Instead, she poured all her energy into the book, the symbols glowing brighter and brighter until they filled the room with a blinding light. The shadows screamed in agony, their grip on her and Adam loosening as the light pushed them back. The keeper staggered, its form flickering as if it were being torn apart by the light. "You cannot defeat the school," the keeper hissed, its voice fading as the light consumed it. With one final burst of energy, the light from the symbols exploded outward, engulfing the entire room in a brilliant flash. And then, just as suddenly, the light faded, leaving Emma and Adam standing alone in the library. The shadows were gone, and the keeper had vanished, leaving only silence in its wake. Emma fell to her knees, her body trembling with exhaustion. The book slipped from her hands, its pages fluttering as it landed on the floor. "Is it over?" Adam asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as he slowly rose to his feet, his face pale and lined with fear. Emma shook her head, still catching her breath. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But we've stopped whatever that was, at least for now." She glanced around the library, which now felt unnervingly empty, as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. The oppressive darkness was gone, but in its place was a deep, unsettling silence. Adam knelt beside her, his expression a mixture of relief and worry. "The Keeper of Shadows. It said the ritual was eternal, that the school is eternal. What if it was right? What if we're just delaying the inevitable?" Emma's mind raced as she tried to make sense of everything that had happened. The Keeper's words echoed in her mind, filling her with dread. But she couldn't let despair take hold, not now. They had come too far. "Maybe it's not about stopping the school entirely," Emma said, her voice growing stronger. "Maybe it's about breaking its control over us, over the students. If we can cut off its source of power, weaken it, then maybe we can give everyone a chance to escape." Adam frowned, deep in thought. "The ritual, it's feeding on fear, on despair. That's what it wants from us. But if we refuse to give it what it wants, if we fight back, maybe we can weaken it." Emma nodded. "But we need to find the source, the heart of the ritual. The book mentioned a ritual of shadows. Maybe that's where the school's power comes from. If we can find the original ritual site, we might be able to destroy it." Adam's expression hardened with determination. "Then we need to keep searching. There has to be something in this library that can point us in the right direction." With renewed resolve, they began to search through the ancient tomes and dusty scrolls that filled the shelves of the library's darkest corner. The light overhead flickered, but the oppressive darkness no longer hung over them like a shroud. The keeper was gone, but the danger was far from over. As Emma sifted through the pages of an old book, her fingers brushed against something hidden between the pages. She pulled it out carefully and found a small yellowed map, covered in strange markings and symbols that matched those in the ritual of shadows. Adam, look at this," Emma called, her voice tinged with excitement. "It's a map. It shows the layout of the school, but there's something different about it." Adam hurried over and peered at the map over her shoulder. The lines and symbols on the map seemed to twist and shift, as if the paper itself was alive with dark energy. "This isn't the school as it is now," Adam said, his brow furrowed. "It's the school as it was, before it became what it is today." Emma traced her finger along one of the lines, leading to a part of the school that was unfamiliar to her. "This area, it doesn't exist in the current layout of the school. It's like it was hidden or buried." Adam's eyes widened with realization. This must be where the original ritual took place. If we can find it, maybe we can put an end to all of this. The two of them hurried out of the library, clutching the map as if it were their lifeline. The school was eerily quiet as they navigated the corridors, the walls seemingly closing in on them as they approached the hidden part of the school. The map led them to an old, disused wing of the building, one that had been sealed off for years. The door was heavy and rusted, the wood splintered with age. But as they pushed it open, they were hit with a wave of cold air, carrying with it the scent of decay and something far older. "This is it," Adam said, his voice barely audible. "This is where it all began." They stepped into the dark corridor, the walls lined with ancient symbols and carvings, their meanings lost to time. The air was thick with tension, and Emma's heart pounded in her chest as they moved deeper into the forgotten part of the school. At the end of the corridor, they found themselves in a large, circular room, the walls lined with stone pillars covered in intricate carvings. In the center of the room was a raised platform, upon which sat a stone altar, the surface etched with the same symbols from the ritual of shadows. "This is it," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "This is where the original ritual was performed." Adam stepped forward cautiously, his eyes fixed on the altar. "If we destroy this, we might be able to break the school's hold, weaken its power." But as they approached the altar, the air in the room grew colder, and the symbols on the walls began to glow with a dark, ominous light. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and a low rumble filled the air, growing louder with each passing moment. "Emma, we need to be quick," Adam urged, his voice tense. Emma reached for the book they had found earlier, flipping to the page with the symbols Ms. Grayson had taught her. She began to recite the words, the symbols in her mind glowing with a bright, fierce energy. The room shook violently, the light from the symbols growing brighter and brighter until it was almost blinding. The darkness around them seemed to pull back, retreating from the light. But then, just as the light seemed to reach its peak, a deafening roar echoed through the chamber, and the shadows surged forward with a renewed fury. "No!" Emma cried, her voice filled with despair as the shadows wrapped around her and Adam, pulling them away from the altar. The light flickered, then dimmed, as the darkness closed in around them. Emma struggled against the shadows, but they were too strong, their cold tendrils seeping into her mind, filling her with a crushing sense of hopelessness. "We can't give up," Adam shouted, his voice muffled by the shadows. "We're so close." But the shadows were relentless, their grip tightening as they dragged them away from the altar, pulling them deeper into the darkness. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Emma remembered the final lesson from Ms. Grayson: the power of belief. The school fed on fear, on despair, but it was also vulnerable to those who believed in their strength, in their ability to overcome. "Adam, focus on the light," Emma shouted, her voice cutting through the darkness. "We have to believe we can defeat this." Adam's eyes met hers, and she saw the determination in them, the refusal to give in. Together, they concentrated on the symbols, on the light that had filled the room, and they pushed back against the shadows with all their might. The shadows hissed in pain, their grip weakening as the light grew stronger, fueled by their combined will. The ground beneath them trembled, and the symbols on the walls glowed with a blinding light. With a final, desperate push, Emma and Adam broke free from the shadows, the light exploding outward, filling the room with a brilliant, cleansing energy. The shadows shrieked in agony, their forms disintegrating as the light consumed them. The ground beneath the altar cracked, the stone crumbling as the energy surged through it, shattering the symbols that had bound the school's dark power. The roar of the shadows faded, replaced by a deep, resonant silence as the light slowly dimmed, leaving Emma and Adam standing alone in the center of the room. The altar was destroyed, the symbols reduced to dust, and the darkness that had filled the room was gone, replaced by a sense of calm, of peace. Emma fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face as the weight of everything that had happened washed over her. They had done it. They had broken the ritual, weakened the school's power. Adam knelt beside her, his face filled with relief and exhaustion. "It's over," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "We actually did it." Emma nodded, though the reality of what they had accomplished was still sinking in. The school's hold had been broken, but the journey wasn't over. There were still students trapped, still souls that needed to be freed. But for the first time since this nightmare had begun, Emma felt a flicker of hope, a belief that they could truly make a difference. As they left the chamber, the air felt lighter, the oppressive weight that had hung over the school lifting. The corridors were still dark, the shadows still lingering, but the malevolent presence that had haunted them was gone. As they stepped out into the fresh air, the sun breaking through the clouds, Emma and Adam shared a look of quiet determination. The battle was far from over, but they had taken the first step toward reclaiming the school, toward freeing the souls trapped within its walls. The ritual of shadows was broken, but the school's secrets were still buried deep, and as they walked away from the ruins of the altar, they knew that the final battle was yet to come. You've just witnessed another chilling chapter with me, the Tales Keeper, here on Nightmare for Giggles. But remember, the battle against Westbrook High's dark power is far from over. Emma and Adam may have broken the ritual of shadows, but the school's secrets run deeper than they ever imagined. As they prepare for the final confrontation, the stakes have never been higher, and the price of failure could be their souls. If you're ready to face the final chapters of this terrifying journey, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And until next time, beware of the rituals you uncover, because some darkness can never be undone.